We are discussing local content and local participation. Last week, we spent time with the Minerals Commission, as we do every Wednesday, and we talked about the published Local Procurement List 4th edition for goods and services as per the Minerals and Mining Local Content and Local Participation Regulations 2020 LI 2431. Today's edition, we are going to continue the deliberations, and the CEO of the Minerals Commission is at the table. Mr. Martin Ayisi has taken his seat. Good morning, Mr. Ayisi. Welcome back once again.
Morning.
You can catch a stream of this interview live, of course, on GBC's Facebook page, but you can get the interview on all the Minerals Commission social media handles. You can find them on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Just look for Minerals Commission Ghana. So you can get this interview and other ones on all their social media handles. And you can join the conversation. We're opening the phone lines. The number to call is 054-366-4264. 054-366-4264. We are discussing the local content and local participation and what the law says. So, Mr. Ayisi, last week you took us through what the items on the list are and who is supposed to offer those services and who is not supposed to offer those services. And then I asked the question last week, how do you ensure that these rules are adhered to? So when it comes to compliance, what are the mechanisms in place to ensure that people play by the books and they do not go outside what LI 2431, which I have before me now, stipulates?
Thank you, Thelma, and it's great to be here again. Mechanisms, two ways. One, what you must submit, and then if you fall foul of what is approved. So, for instance, we demand you provide us a procurement plan, 5 years. Looking at, for instance, what are the items you'll be purchasing, Ghanaian content, and how you intend to help the suppliers. Now, if you don't provide a plan within 1 year, when you are when you are registered, for instance, $10,000, CD equivalent, first 6 months, then every day, 10,000. I don't know who would like to risk that. That's why I was telling you the fines are
hefty.
Yeah, really. So that's the first thing. If you fail to submit your procurement plan as to how you intend to ensure Ghanaian content, that is a fine. First 6 months, 10,000 USD, CD equivalent, that's an administrative penalty. Every day the default continues, 10,000. So you can imagine how much you have to pay. So that is that on procurement plan. Then there's also localization. Localization essentially covers your training of Ghanaians, and then if you intend to bring in expatriates, how many, and then how you intend to replace them. Again, if you fall foul, that's trouble. For instance, if you violate the expatriate, what do you call it, quota, like let's say an expatriate is supposed to stay for a certain period, or you are supposed to follow their rules. You are supposed to pay 1 year salary for every month or part of the month the person works. So if the person had worked like a year, you are paying the person, let's say, $400,000 or $300,000, $100,000. Just do the multiplication, and you see how much you need to pay for that breach. That's also another area that scares them. As I said, we are not obsessed with that. Then the last leg has to deal with the reporting requirements. Now, at the end of the year, you have just 30 days. Or if you like, not later than 31st January of every year. So we are now in 2022. It is our expectation that by 31st January 2023, your report regarding how you are implementing the plan, the expatriate, how you are training the Ghanaians to replace them, and any other thing required under the law will be in place. So after 31st January, if your report is not ready, again, that puts you in the fine category. So they follow this law strictly. And then, of course, any other thing that is not specifically stated, but you get, for instance, if you don't comply with the gender provisions, there's something we call fronting. So let's say this particular activity is restricted or exclusively preserved for Ghanaians. And then you go into some kind of, the accounts will say Kanana, or some kind of deal or let me use Ghanaian language, kululu, and then you present the company or the person as if it's Ghanaian, but behind the scene actually it's an expatriate or that kind of thing. Again, also comes with a fine. So fronting, whether you do it for a Ghanaian or a foreigner. So those are the things that we do. And then apart from that, we also have the power to set up guidelines or investigate. So if we get a report that, look, you have engaged an expatriate, or let's say this particular company, there are foreigners behind, which should not be the case. Once we find out, then you are in trouble.
Okay. So you've talked about a procurement plan, a 5-year procurement plan. Which companies have been found wanting in this regard? Do you have examples?
Oh,
maybe you might not want to name.
I don't have the list yet.
Okay,
but at least
some
maybe next time
found.
I'll come and tell you the kind of fines and specific fines, and then companies that pay them. But I would not like to mention the name
because now they are on the straight and narrow.
Yes, and then the other thing too is that we don't rush to just fine you. We make genuine mistakes. Let me put it that way, genuine mistakes. So sometimes when we detect some infractions, we call you and then we tell you to remedy it. It is when you're not able to remedy it, that's when, you know, the fine kicks in. But some we are just straight. For instance, there's a company that brought in an expatriate, it's approved. At the end of the period, the expatriate was supposed to go back. We detected during the review that the expatriate was still working. And so the fine kicked in. We had to fine them, etc. Then apart from that, we could withdraw your registration. So imagine having put in $10 million. And then we have decided that, look, your registration is cancelled. What happens to that kind of investment? So they hardly cross the line. As much as possible, it's just remedying here and there. But a few are carried to recalcitrant. And then I also want to say this. There is no way a company that has been issued with a mineral right, that is registered for support service, or has been granted a license to do in a mineral, can bring in an expert, like going straight to immigration, and then they give you the document for you to work. It's not allowed. You must, if you want to work in the mining sector, these 3 categories of persons, let me repeat. Somebody issued with a license to explore or mine a mineral, a person registered to provide support services, or deal in a mineral, like you've been granted a license for refinery. The law, you are entitled to bring an expert to pay the quota, maybe 1, 2, or 3. You need to justify. So after the review, if we are satisfied, we'll make a recommendation to the immigration people, because you see, we can recommend that you should be given a permit by immigration for some other reason, national security, whatever, can refuse. But when you go behind the scene, but immigration is aware. When you go, they'll tell you they need a letter from Minerals Commission. So those laws are working very well.
So is that how some people have the perception that we have a lot of other nationals, and I'm hesitating to name a particular country, but many people in the mining space who are expatriates come from a certain region in the world. Is there a plan to bring that to the down low, or is that an active thing that you pursue? In
my next, I don't know whether to say episode or edition, we'll discuss what goes into getting an expatriate quota. What are the requirements, and you understand that carefully. But broadly, most of our investors come from Canada, US, Australia, South Africa, and then the last 5, if you like, 10 years, China now. But I keep repeating, the Minerals Commission I came to meet 20 years ago is not the Minerals Commission we have now when it comes to localization. I told you, you go to Idua Prim Takwa, 650 workers, everybody is Ghanaian. I think the MD was kicked out 2 years ago. Pesos has followed suit. Newmont is about 97%. Goldfields, 97%. And there is this aggressive program to actually replace them with Ghanaians. So maybe in the next 5-6 years, practically almost everything will be localized, except the new ones that are coming. At least the first 3 years, you give them some kind of quota, and then they are replaced. So no more. In the past, you could go to the clubhouse and you can just find 10, 15 people. They are all foreigners. I don't want to say white, because anybody coming from Zimbabwe or maybe any other African country is also an expatriate, and he may not be white. So that may not be true. I prefer to educate Ghanaians on the law before we rush into judgment. The other day, I heard or I read somewhere that a company on a platform, a company has been given a license for 180 years. And I said, but 180 years, and this was doing rounds. Guess what? The maximum you can get for a license is 30 years, maximum 30 years. So when you have people reading and then putting this kind of information, then you can just imagine.
But is that 30-year mandate renewable?
Yes, it's renewable, but you are not entitled to 30 years. We can give you anything up to 30 years. I mean, there are companies that have 5 years, 10 years, because if you tell me your feasibility that I have found 1 million ounces, I want to mine 100,000 a year, that's about 10 years. So you can't get anything more than 15 years. You see? But I'm saying when you read in social media that a company has been given a license for 180 years, maybe
you should probe it further.
No, not that, but it just tells you these are outright lies, because the law, you can't go beyond 30. So let's take our time. Let's come educate Ghanaians on what goes into bringing an expatriate and the quotas and how it works. Okay. And then maybe I'll give you the figures for each company, and then we can find out whether or not a particular a group of people are dominating. And remember, if there are about 100 companies and it is from a particular country, then you may see maybe a few of them around.
I believe you've just convinced your way into another date with me for another time on the show. Remember, we are streaming live on the Minerals Commission's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram accounts at Minerals Commission Ghana. You can join the conversation. The number to call is 054-366-4264. Any questions for the Minerals Commission, they are here to answer. We are talking about local content and local participation. We've worked our way through some of the things you need to submit in order to get be a part of this local content and local participation. You should have a procurement plan which tells the Mineral Commission what items you intend to source and what suppliers you intend to use to source those items. You should also tell them about your expatriate quota, and there are compliance issues that you must meet when it comes to gender, and they will ensure that you are not fronting, so not doing any kululu to get Ghanaians posing as owners of some companies when indeed they are owned by foreign nationals. And now, Mr. Ayisi, let's get to reporting requirements. Explain to us exactly what goes into that. You talked about a 31st deadline. What happens when people do not put these things in place? What's the worst that could happen? If they don't tell you, what happens?
If you look at the law, we have a schedule or kind of a template which says that in submitting your report, provide the following information. So the 41 items we keep talking about. Remember, we had approved your procurement plan for 5 years. So Tema Mining Company said, this particular item, of course, where you have no choice, Ghanaian, 100% Ghanaian, you have to, get it locally. But where it is just on the list because of capacity, you came to tell us that 60%. I'll be buying 60%, maybe in year 2 or over the period. This one I'll buy 40. So at the end of the year, you have just 31 days, because it says no later than 31st January. You have to file a report. Maybe grinding media or this particular item. I said I'll buy 40%. I bought this amount in US dollars or Ghanaian cedis. And then this is it. We will check. If it's 39%, it means that you risk being fined, or you have to explain to us why we should not penalize you. It's not that capricious for not making the 40 that you yourself promised, which was approved for you. So the template is quite detailed. You have to do all that, and we take them through it. So that's how we check. And I think the reports are almost ready. So very soon we'll do a meeting with them. So that is it. We will have to ensure you are complying with the plan. That's one. And then occasionally we get reports. The Ghanaians are the mines, and anybody, they see a few things and then they do alert us. And then we also go and then just do some random checks. Let me also say this. Nobody can visit a mine unless you are permitted by the Minerals Commission. I'll tell you why. In the past, we had expatriates coming under this tourist visa, and then they go to the mine. Then we got complaints from the Ghanaians working there that Osimesi has been here working 6, 4, 5 months. Then quickly we changed the law. So even if the parent company or somebody is coming from outside for a week to check on something or look at a report, you need to notify Mincom like 2 weeks. And then we will have to get your passport, everything, and then we will have to approve it before you can go to the mine.
What necessitated that action?
Well, what I explained was that you can find company A, and then one of the expatriate or somebody in the corporate office in another country will say he's coming to the mine to check 1 or 2 things. So he will come in like a tourist visa, 6 months or 3 months. And then he will enter the mine. Before I realize that 6 months he's there working, as if he's been given what do you call it, a migration permit on the recommendation of Minerals Commission, working full time. So the Ghanaians there saw them, and then they could complain to us. So quickly we changed the law. So even if you are visiting the mine for a day, the only person or persons that are allowed to visit the mine without permission are the Minerals Commission inspectors, then EPA and Geological Survey. Geological Survey, Environmental Protection Agency, and EPA. So even GBC, if you want to go there and do a documentary or anything, you have to come and take permission from Minerals Commission.
Because we've been talking about that for a while. Even
if you want to go there for just a day,
even tourism purposes,
you can't. Let me put it this way: you can't enter a mine in Ghana or any mine site unless you are a worker there or you are an inspector of the Minerals Commission or you work with the EP or Geological Survey. You need our permission because we don't want people to go there under the guise of what do you call it, some research or something. But before I realize, I mean, we found people 6 months working full time, expatriates. That caused us to change the law. Now you cannot do it because the Ghanaians working there will alert us. They will call us. Minerals Commission, there's this person here. He came here and he's here like 3 or 4 months. The companies will not do it. They stopped. So, laws are made to deal with problems or challenges.
And what's the sanction for doing that? If you're found to have smuggled someone in?
$10,000. And you can imagine for each day it continues.
But that doesn't apply to where you pay 10,000 for 6 months and every other day.
In the case of, let's say, take example, let me give you a real practical situation. So somebody came to visit the mine, an expatriate, he works in a corporate office abroad, and then entered the mine. It was supposed to be there like a week or 2-3 days. First, without our permission. And then we discovered that he was there for 6 months. We had to find out how much is the salary. So if it was being paid $100,000, multiply it. The company will have to pay us.
By the number of days they've stayed in the country.
Month or part of the month he stayed in the country. Gross salary. They won't do it. We put a stop to it.
What really is the danger when it comes to expatriate participation into the space that's been reserved solely for locals?
Well, once it is reserved for locals, you can have an expatriate. So don't even go there.
Is it the fear of losing the job?
But then the reason we bring expatriates are very simple. It's either there are shortages of skills or there's a particular technology or a specialized area where we are even struggling to now get this. You see this jumbo, whatever. Next time I come, I'll show these things on telly so that people can see it. We are struggling to get them. Now, remember, I said the other time that we are a major recruitment hub for skills. We have talent, world class. So we also go outside. You go to Western Australia, you find a lot of Ghanaians there. You find them in practically every mining in Africa. There are thousands of Ghanaian geologists and mining engineers in particular working outside. So they also leave. Okay, so you can have a situation where it may take, let's say, 3 months to get a particular type of skill. So within that 3 months, the mine must work. The mines must be in operation. So the person can say, look, I've gotten somebody, just permit me 3 months, let me bring this person, and then I'll get a Ghanaian. So we do allow that. Okay, because it takes time to get the right expertise.
And I'm guessing that because it takes time, you are in constant touch with, say, the training institutions who would make sure that the skills that are needed in the local space where the law is concerned are available for people to study in schools.
Well, that is why first you have to give us a localization plan. Planned and ongoing training of Ghanaians. For instance, as I sit here at the Minerals Commission, we have a report on all the expatriates in Ghana working in the mine. How much they are earning, what exactly they are doing, and then the interesting aspect is that you have a Ghanaian recruited to replace the expatriate. There's a timeline, there's a training program. So we go there, we ask, 6 months. What did you give Terma? And then we call Terma, were you trained on X? All those things are approved. So come 6 months, 1 year or 2 years, Terma is ready to take over. Some of them play games. Getting to like a few days or months, then you are fired. Yes.
Then when another person comes, they get another 6 months.
They fire you, and then they will say, oh, he was involved in some infractions, etc. And then we realize that sometimes it's a ploy, a trick to keep the expatriate there. We investigate, we said no. So they are very careful. So every expatriate, so there's no way you bring in an expatriate if you don't have a Ghanaian with a plan, schedule, timeline, then how much you're going to spend to train him.
Those duties.
And sometimes the person will say 6 months, we say no, 3 months. 2 years, we say 1 year. We know, because we also have the same expertise at Minerals Commission. So if you come and tell me that you need 2 years for the Ghanaian to get this knowledge, we say no, it's 1 year.
Okay.
Or 6 months. And after that, the person must go.
Let me announce the phone line again, 0543664264. We are talking to the CEO of the Minerals Commission, and we are on local content and local participation per the Minerals and Mining Regulations 2020 LI 2431. And so the CEO is answering some questions. Ms. Ayisi, for the benefit of those who may have missed the conversation last week, take us through again the opportunities for local participation in this law. What can locals do in the guidelines that the law has stipulated?
A lot. For instance, again, next time I'll come, we will spend time on what are the requirements to get registered for a particular activity or support service. We will do that separately. But let me just walk you through a few of them. You can get registered that you want to supply fuel to any mining company. So Ghanaians who own fuel stations or gas stations, that's an opportunity. You can do lubricants to the mine. So lubricants and fuel reserved for Ghanaians. Anybody who is a caterer can come to Minerals Commission and register and say, look, I want to provide catering services. They spend a lot of money on those kind of stuff. 2 years ago, $25 million. So caterers, if they are hearing me, come and talk to us. But I said, I'll come here and discuss the requirements. You know, your registration document, tax certificate, all those things need. We also need those things, and then we'll check. So catering is also an opportunity. And then we also have what we call local. You see, the law is designed in such a way that certain kinds of jobs can only go to persons living around the mine. So you cannot come to, let's say, Anglo Ashanti, Obuasi mine. You can't come to Rara. I come from Rara in the OT region. You can't come to Rara and come and get a driver. You must get a driver from the community.
So that's the local.
Yeah, that's a local. Somebody like a carpenter, those technical basic skills.
Okay.
Yes.
Lots of opportunities for locals to participate in the mining space, and some of you perhaps are interested. There's a caller on the line. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on Breakfast on GTV. Time with the Minerals Commission. Your name and where you are calling us from?
Good morning. My name is Nana Krampa.
Nana Krampa, what do you like to say to us this morning?
I just want to congratulate the Ayisi for the good work that he's doing. You should keep on to educate the public, and you should keep the fire burning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krampa, for calling us this morning. The Minerals Commission is grateful, and you can follow their social media handles there on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and also on Instagram and Twitter. So get in touch through those means, and they will be happy to speak to you again. The phone number to call is 054-366-4264. Minerals Commission is at the table, and they have a few more minutes to answer some calls from you. Mr. Ayisi has been talking to us about the opportunities that exist in the mining space for local participation. He's told us about selling lubricants to the minerals mining companies, and so you can provide them with fuel if you're a fuel station, you can't take advantage of that. You can also offer catering services. We are told that some $25 million is in that sector about a couple of years ago. There's also the local. It means if you're an artisan, if you're a carpenter, if you're a driver, you can also be engaged for your services for a mining company, and you can also work in that space. More calls coming in. Another caller on the line. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yeah, my name is Maxwell. I'm calling from Kumasi. All right.
Maxwell from Kumasi. Lots of mines in that space. What do you want to know this morning, Maxwell?
Yeah, please. I want to know that after you've done a safety course, right, and you want to come to the Minerals Commission and for them to certify you, right? I want to know the procedure.
A procedure for certification for which?
Yeah.
What exactly?
For safety officers. Yes.
For safety officers.
Yeah.
Okay, Maxwell. Do remain on the line, or perhaps hang up, and we'll get your number and give it to the team that's here from the Minerals Commission, and they'll get you further details, because that's an extensive. We have had that conversation here. It's quite extensive, but the CEO will answer, and then they'll get in touch with you with further specifications, if that's all right. Mr. Ayisi, certification for safety officers.
This is what I will say. I'll leave my number, and then we'll get in touch with him. But this is it's not that simple. When I say simple, I'm not saying life is going to be tough for him. You see, you cannot just be, let's say, an ordinary mining engineer or geologist or whatever, and then start working at the mine. I'll give you an example. A typical mine runs on a mine manager. So you have to have a certain basic qualification, and then work for some number of your experience, and then take the exams that are run by the Minerals Commission and pass. I don't know, I stand to be corrected, but you just get up and call yourself an eye specialist. You see, if you're a medical doctor, GP,
you should have gone through something.
Yeah, you must specialize as an ophthalmologist or surgeon. It's the same thing that happens here. So let me tell him this. We'll come another time and then take you through all the requirements and all the certification, because that requires like 3, 4, 5 episodes.
Okay.
What it means to get certified.
And
also the plans for the artisans, those who go to the technical schools. What are the plans and co for them? Then I will have to take this opportunity to say that in the law, there's a provision which says that the subheading is promotion of skills and then research. Now, the mining companies are supposed to give us, they have 1 year after they've commenced operations to tell us what are their plans for practical attachments, skills, and then research, either for the universities, the technical institutions, vocational institutions, etc. So a few examples will suffice.
Okay. There's another call on the line. Hold on for me. Let me say, land this point, and then I'll take your
So
comment.
take Goldfields, for instance. All the mining engineering students and then the geologists, those who are studying geology at Takwa, when they go on this their so-called long vac, they bring them to the mine. Okay? Spend 2-3 months, and then when school reopens, they go back. So they do that over the 4-year degree program. By the time they finish, they're employable. Now the law says they used to do that voluntarily as a contribution to, if like, skill development. Now it's mandatory. A company walked into my office yesterday and said, look, I have some money I want to give to UMAT for research. We are going to look at that. We'll sign an MOU. Because they do it elsewhere. So
and it
that
seems
is
to be working. So that's more opportunities. Maxwell, you may have bitten up more than you can chew, but the Minerals Commission will be in touch, and they will give you all the answers that you need with regards to certification for safety inspectors. So the producers will supply your number to the Minerals Commission team. I understand there's another caller who is keen on adding his voice to this conversation. Good morning, your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, my name is Eric.
Eric, what's on your mind?
I'm calling from Mincom. I first want to say that's a very nice information. I want to ask Mr. Ayisi a question. If these expatriates are coming in and they have this know-how which we don't have, what are we doing to get our youth or whatever into areas where there will not be any need for bringing them down here? But if they need any know-how which is not there, we can just pick them up and let them be treated.
Great point, Eric. Thank you so much for reaching us. Mr. Ayisi will answer that question now.
I think he just missed my last point, but I will repeat. Now, the law says that we should get involved in research, skills development, and technology. And the companies must pay for it, as they do elsewhere. We cannot have one size fits all. So let's say Goldfields can approach Minerals Commission and say, I will set aside maybe $5 million to train this particular type of skills. Another company can say, for me, I'll put aside $1 million, 50 students can come and be having practical training, attachment at my mechanical workshop. Then apart from that, in their localization plan, they are supposed to give us two things, ongoing and planned recruitment. So these are some of the things that we are supposed to do. We're trying to put together a plan where it will be industry, Minerals Commission, and then a chamber where we'll set up some of these training institutes. We can do it with some of the universities or some of the technical institutes. So you can just go 3 months or 6 months, you get a certification. It's quite common in South Africa and Western Australia. So you might finish SSS, have a certificate, come to some of these institutes, which is funded by the mining company, supervised by Minerals Commission. You go for 6 months, you acquire a particular technical or vocational skill, and then you move to the mine. Right. But we have to ensure that the demand is there, maybe for the next 10, 15 years, because the worst thing you can do to yourself is to get these people, train them, and then they don't have any jobs. We won't do that.
Right. I think
so it requires a lot of planning.
Because we've run out of time quickly, I'll take your final remarks with regards to this local content and participation, and then we will wrap up on this conversation. Mr. Ayisi, what should we take away from this chat?
Well, final remarks. Ghanaians are insisting and they are demanding that mining can no longer be an enclave economy. It must be linked to the rest of the economy, and the bottom line is that it has to contribute to broad-based development, national development. We are here saying that one of the surest way to get there is to deepen and enhance local content and get most of these things to stay here. 2 weeks ago when I came here, I told you we're taking listing seriously so that the billions of dollars we keep talking about could be raised here and they don't go outside. Once I leave here, I'm rushing to the stock market. A company is listing today. So that is a good news. It means that they will raise the money here, and then my favorite slogan, the money will stay where? Here. It doesn't need to go to Canada or go back to US, etc. So that's the takeaway. We want to get there. We'll do it.
Martin Ayisi is the CEO of the Minerals Commission. Every time I sit across from you, I'm tempted to open a catering company.
You're welcome.
Supply services to a mining company.
But you must
so that
cook,
I can take part
very well.
I take part of the 25.
But you must, they demand good food. So you have to cook very well. We will support you.
Thank you. And you can also get the same support from the Minerals Commission if you offer a local service similar to what the law LI 2431 has reserved solely for Ghanaians and Ghanaian companies. And you can get further details about the Minerals Commission and everything they do on their social media channels, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Look for Minerals Commission Ghana, and they will answer your questions as well. Thank you to those of us who called us, Nana Krampa, Maxwell, and Eric, for sharing your thoughts with Mr. Ayisi here. Maxwell, I think Mr. Ayisi has promised to get back to you with regards to the certification question that you asked. And every Wednesday, the Minerals Commission sits with us on the breakfast table, and they offer insight into how you can benefit from mining and mining services. And you catch us again next week for a similar conversation with the Minerals Commission. And this is where we draw the curtain. Mr. Ayisi and the team, thank you so much for joining us.